Welcome in to Factfinder Investigates. I'm Dylan Doming. This week, Rosehill police releasing new details into the months-long investigation of a child's remains found in the backyard of a home. Police now arresting the two adoptive parents in connection to the death of this young girl, Kennedy Schroer. This investigation began in September of last year when Kennedy's body was found buried in her adoptive parents' backyard. Investigators believe she died in November of 2020 when she would have been just 6 years old. Factfinder investigator Robin Campa spoke with the Rosehill police chief about how this investigation started.
A lot of times we just stumble upon information. Frequently it's the citizens who give us information, and in this case that's exactly what happened.
A phone call led officers to a home in Rosehill.
We arrived at the house, and from that interaction we were able to discern additional evidence that this young lady might be buried in the backyard.
Rosehill Chief of Police Taylor Parlier says investigators secured a search warrant and began digging around the property. Rosehill received help from multiple state and federal agencies.
From the beginning, it was a joint effort. These things always are. You could be the NYPD or the Chicago Police Department. You're still going to need help.
During the investigation, authorities found a trash bag buried in the backyard. Inside were the remains of Kennedy Schroer. Her death ruled a homicide. The autopsy report found Kennedy's death was likely suffocation, leading to the arrest of Kennedy's adoptive parents.
Based on the evidence that we found over the last approximate 5 months, we believe that there is sufficient evidence to charge Crystina and Joseph Schroer.
Both parents were taken into custody on counts of child abuse and torture. Crystina Schroer is facing 1 count of first-degree murder. Chief Parlier says cases like this take time before arrests can be made.
There are many people that are understandably upset at us that we didn't take action sooner. A lot of people think that because they already know or they believe that we should have arrested somebody on the first day this occurred. But we wanted to make sure that we gave it the due diligence and that everybody has their day in court.
And this week, the Rosehill couple faced a Butler County judge in separate first appearances. Joseph Schroer faces charges of child abuse, aiding and abetting in crime, and more. A judge set his bond at $10,000 with a GPS requirement to ensure he doesn't flee if he bonds out. Crystina Schroer faces 9 counts, including first-degree murder and multiple charges of child abuse. She faces a $250,000 bond and GPS requirement. The other children inside the home were taken into state custody as children in need of care. Pharmacies across the state of Kansas looking at lawmakers to provide them with a prescription to ensure the survival of their businesses. They point to PBMs, or pharmacy benefit managers, as the problem. Factfinder investigator Sean Logging hears the biggest concerns from those pharmacy owners.
When medications are needed.
That's the calling of the pharmacist. We are that conduit of the drugs and the information to the patient.
Access is vital.
The most accessible healthcare professional in small towns.
The local pharmacy, a prominent feature on rural main streets, and access to care wherever you might live. Right now, pharmacists say it is a struggle for the survival of their business.
Meaningful change has to happen this year, or we're going to have a healthcare crisis just in pharmacy.
The source of the struggle, Sloan Freeman, president of the Kansas Pharmacists Association and a rural Kansas pharmacist, says are PBMs, the middleman negotiating what you pay for a drug between the drug maker, insurance, and pharmacy.
The vertical integration of PBMs is probably the biggest driver. They own the insurance company, and then they own the middleman, the part that negotiates the contracts with the pharmacies, and then they own their own pharmacy on top of it. And so they have all of the pieces.
Dan Davis has worked at El Dorado True Care Pharmacy since he was a teen, and for 16 years has worked here as a pharmacist. Dan says over the years, the PBMs have become more powerful, and they're leveraging their power over independent pharmacy. He says it's reached a breaking point, being reimbursed at or below what it costs for a drug.
When they're able to dictate the terms in such a significant way, we have no ability to fight back. We're handed take it or leave it contracts. And when you're dealing with single shops, our ability to negotiate there is non-existent.
Let me show you a couple of examples of what Dan is talking about at his pharmacy. The first receipt shows for this low-cost drug that the cost for the pharmacy was 18 cents. TrueCare was reimbursed 35 for a profit of 17 cents. The second shows a drug that cost TrueCare more than $1,400 was only reimbursed about $1,300. The pharmacy lost money, $120. Dan says this doesn't include the other costs, like dispensing and staff time. That average costs between $10.50 and $11.50 per prescription.
That doesn't include, every business's right to gain a little bit of profit to keep the doors open, to provide that stability for our employees and our community.
Dan says the low reimbursement is why they didn't continue a contract with one of the larger PBMs, meaning they will no longer accept certain insurance plans.
We've had to decide that, we were going to move on from a large segment of our patients so that we could keep our doors open, essentially.
Salone says in 2024, 10 pharmacies closed in Kansas, both independent and chain. They were among thousands across the country.
Getting to a point where we can't afford to pay our pharmacists.
The association representing PBMs says the work they do saves patients and payers an average of $1,000 a year, creating networks of more affordable pharmacies, getting rebates from drug manufacturers, and managing specialty meds. This industry has come under scrutiny by the Federal Trade Commission. The FTC's reports show that PBMs profit at the expense of patients and independent pharmacies with their ability to control drug access and prices. The top three account for 80% of drugs dispensed in 2023. In a second report, the FTC says that PBMs mark up cancer, HIV, and other specialty generic drugs, that the top three generated $7.3 billion through markups between 2017 and 2022. The FTC also says that they reimburse affiliated pharmacies at higher rates.
It's really tough to have to make those decisions of what insurances we're going to take in 2026 and if we're going to carry this drug.
It's creating so-called pharmacy deserts across the state. And in rural Kansas, when one closes, the next closest won't have the capacity to take all those patients on.
It's important for us to keep fighting for our patients every day, but at some point, we're going to have to fight for our own businesses too.
Sean Logging, 12 News.
And that's why 450 pharmacists in Kansas showed up at Topeka this week to advocate for their business and show what it would be like if their pharmacy did close. They said they were hoping to have legislation introduced, but a bill they were working on since last September got caught in a backlog of other bills being drafted. They hope the advocacy can turn into action for next year. We're continuing to remember the lives lost during the tragic plane crash last week involving American Airlines Flight 5342 and a military helicopter. Friday afternoon, families of the victims reunited with their lost loved ones. A direct flight from D.C. to Wichita brought the bodies of those who died in that crash back to Kansas.
Dustin is going to be greatly missed, and there's no bringing him back, but having him home and not where he was, it was very important to me and to my family.
And we did run a report this week marking 1 week since the tragedy of Flight 5342. It was a show to honor those victims and how you can help those families. The special is available on demand on kwch.com and on our 12 News app. When we return, missing pet scams on the rise, how pet owners are being targeted. Next on Factfinder Investigates.